There are goalkeepers who stand between the posts and wait for the storm to arrive. There are others who command the penalty area like ancient guardians, waiting for the inevitable and praying their hands are strong enough to stop it. And then there was Manuel Neuer, a goalkeeper who looked at the very definition of his position and decided it was too small for him. Because Neuer was never content to simply guard the goal. He wanted to own the space beyond it. He wanted to turn danger into distance, panic into possession, and the last line of defense into the first line of attack. While other goalkeepers lived inside the penalty area, Neuer wandered beyond it like a man who had forgotten where the boundaries were drawn. And somehow, impossibly, he made it look normal. This was not merely goalkeeping. This was revolution. When the world first truly noticed him at Schalke, there was already something different in the way he moved. Tall, powerful, fearless, but with the reflexes of a man half his size. He could dive like a goalkeeper, distribute like a midfielder, and read the game like a defender. But it was at Bayern Munich where the idea became an identity. When Neuer arrived in Bavaria in 2011, the expectations were enormous. Bayern didn't buy him merely to make saves. They bought him to become the guardian of a club that expected perfection. And perfection is a dangerous word in football. Because the moment you reach it, everyone begins waiting for the day you fall. But Neuer didn't simply meet expectations. He changed them. He stood so far from his goal that sometimes you wondered whether Bayern had two defenders or one goalkeeper who had simply decided to join the back four. A through ball would escape the defense. The striker would race toward it. The stadium would hold its breath. And then, from somewhere beyond the penalty area, came Neuer. Not running backward. Running forward. Like a defender wearing gloves. He would arrive first, clear the danger, and casually restart the attack as though nothing extraordinary had happened. This became the sight that defined an era. The sweeper keeper. A goalkeeper who wasn't just protecting the final 20 yards, but controlling the space behind his entire defense. And perhaps the most frightening thing about Neuer was not what he did with his hands. It was what he did with his mind. He anticipated. He calculated. He read the game before the danger became visible. Forwards didn't just have to beat Bayern's defenders. They had to beat Neuer's understanding of space. And then came 2014. Brazil. The World Cup. Germany arrived with expectation but also uncertainty. They had carried the weight of history for years, always close, never quite touching the summit. Neuer stood behind them. And what followed became one of the greatest individual goalkeeping tournaments football has ever witnessed. Against Algeria, Germany were pushed to the edge. The defense was breached. The game became stretched. And there repeatedly was Neuer. Outside his box. Charging toward danger. Throwing himself into challenges. Clearing balls. Saving Germany from situations that should never have existed. It was almost absurd. A goalkeeper defending with the courage of a center-back and the instinct of a goalkeeper. Then came Brazil. Then came the final. Argentina. One night. One trophy. One moment that could define an entire generation. The match was tense. Tight. Merciless. Every tackle carried weight. Every mistake threatened immortality. And when Mario Götze finally scored in extra time, Germany had their moment. But behind that moment stood the man who had spent the tournament turning impossible situations into routine. Manuel Neuer became a World Cup winner. And the Golden Glove followed. But perhaps the greatest compliment came afterward. People stopped asking whether Neuer was the best goalkeeper in the world. They started asking whether he had changed the position forever. At Bayern, the trophies kept coming. Bundesliga titles. Champions League glory. Domestic cups. The treble. Then in 2020, another historic night. Paris. Bayern Munich against Paris Saint-Germain. A Champions League final decided by one goal. And standing between Neymar, Kylian Mbappe and European immortality was a man whose presence seemed to enlarge the goal behind him. Neuer was magnificent. Not spectacular for the sake of spectacle. Magnificent because he made difficult things appear inevitable. Bayern won. And Neuer lifted the Champions League trophy again. By then, his reputation was no longer built simply on saves. It was built on authority. He was a commander. A conductor. A goalkeeper who could alter the geography of a football pitch simply by stepping forward. But football is a cruel companion. Gives you everything. Then quietly reminds you that nothing lasts forever. In December 2022, Neuer suffered a serious leg injury while skiing after Germany's World Cup elimination. His season was over. At an age when most goalkeepers begin accepting the slow retreat of time, Neuer faced something even more frightening. The possibility that the game had moved on without him. He returned. But the body remembers what the mind tries to forget. There were injuries. There were questions. There were moments when people wondered whether the great Neuer they had known was disappearing. Yet perhaps that is the most beautiful part of his story. He kept coming back. Because greatness isn't always about remaining untouched by time. Sometimes greatness is about standing back up after time has tried to knock you down. The hair changes. The legs become heavier. The reflexes that once felt supernatural begin to obey the laws of age. But the eyes remain. The intelligence remains. The hunger remains. And when Neuer walks toward his goal today, there is still something familiar about the silhouette. The same confidence. The same defiance. The same feeling that somewhere between the penalty spot and the halfway line, danger is never quite as dangerous as it appears. Perhaps that is why Manuel Neuer's legacy is so difficult to measure. He didn't merely collect trophies. He changed the imagination of a position. Before him, the goalkeeper was often the last man. After him, a generation began dreaming of becoming the first man. The goalkeeper could build attacks. The goalkeeper could sweep behind the defense. The goalkeeper could stand almost at midfield and still be the safest man on the pitch. Neuer didn't follow the evolution of goalkeeping. He accelerated it. And one day, when the gloves are finally hung up and the roar of the Allianz Arena becomes a memory, football will look back and realize what it witnessed. Not simply a great goalkeeper. Not simply a World Cup winner. Not simply a Bayern Munich icon. But a man who looked at the oldest position in football and gave it a new language. He came to stop the ball. He stayed to control the game. And somewhere along the way, Manuel Neuer stopped being merely the man between the posts. He became the space beyond them. The goalkeeper who refused to stay home. The guardian who became a defender. The defender who became a playmaker. And the man who taught an entire generation that sometimes, to protect the goal, you have to be brave enough to leave it.